Last month, Freelee put out a video calling Abbey Sharp a wolf in sheep's clothing. If you're not familiar, Abbey Sharp is a dietitian. She became popular doing these kind of reviews of what I ate today's on YouTube from a dietitian's perspective. She's done a lot of vegan YouTubers, Ellen Fisher, Freelee, of course, me actually. And she has been seen by a lot of vegans as a pretty positive person, positive channel, because she speaks pretty positively about veganism. Whenever she critiques bad vegan diets like Freelee's, she makes it clear that veganism is fine and can be very healthy, that there are certain vegan diets that are unhealthy, like Freelee's. So that's the backstory. As you can imagine, Freelee is not too fond of Abbey going into this. And essentially in this video, she asserts that Abbey is really a shill for like the meat and dairy industry, that she is like an industry plant, that she is trying to sway us away from veganism by pretending to be a sort of ally. And there's a bunch of other stuff in here too, as you'll see. And there's also some stuff that I think Freelee is right about. So that's new.
So as a lot of people have told me, Abbey's videos are being promoted by the new YouTube algorithm to the point of being ridiculous. I mean, like, regardless of SEO, which I do myself, it makes you think why mine are being suppressed and I have like 650,000 more subscribers than she does, yet hers are being relentlessly pushed like crazy. So it's quite obvious to me that Google has a deeper, meatier agenda to promote mainstream propaganda.
Or maybe Abbey's videos just have a better click-through rate. I mean, this is how YouTube essentially works. This is how the algorithm works. When YouTube recommends a video and that video performs well, which means that more people click on it when it is recommended to them. You know, you have your little recommended, thing on the side of videos or on your homepage. There's also recommended videos. If more people are clicking on it, then the algorithm is like, cool, more views, more money, right? And so they keep recommending that video. And this is why we see kind of these like random videos that show up in like everyone's homepage and recommended tab at the same time. Sometimes it's videos that like you're not interested in, that you've never shown any interest in, videos of like stuff you've never watched before. I know there was like one of those acrylic paint videos that was doing that for a while. And a lot of the comments, people were like, I've never even watched this. Like, why is this showing up? Well, the video was doing very, very, very well in terms of click-through. A lot of people were clicking on it. So YouTube just keeps promoting it and it can snowball, right? Promoted more clicks, promoted more clicks, promoted more clicks, to the point where some videos actually end up on the trending page. I know that there's more to it than that. And obviously we don't know exactly how these things work and it's not that simple. And, we see certain things on trending, like a lot of the talk shows and that sort of stuff that makes people think that, maybe things are rigged just a little bit. I don't know, and personally, I don't really care, but it's clear that at the basic level, that's how the algorithm works, and it makes sense. Obviously, it's in YouTube's interest to keep promoting the videos that are garnering more views, more money. And of course, contrary to Freelee's whole Google meat conspiracy that they're just promoting meat, whatever, we see a lot of vegan channels doing very well. Most are not particularly huge like mine because, veganism, although it's becoming more and more popular, it's still a pretty, niche thing. But there are some that do very, very well. Pick Up Limes comes to mind. If you look at most of the vegan like recipe / what I ate today channels, even ones that have lots and lots of subscribers, when you look at their view count, it's not super huge, right? You're looking at like, I don't know, 50,000 views per video, something like that, unless they do something different, right? Something controversial, like responding to an ex-vegan, video or something like that. But for the standard, like recipe videos, what I ate today, little vlogs, it's usually around that range. But Pick Up Limes? Over 500,000 views in 1 month on a pasta video. This is a vegan channel getting millions of views per month. More views than Abbey Sharp, certainly more views than Freelee. And I wonder why. Maybe instead of blaming her dying channel on some made-up conspiracy that's easily shot down just by Googling, maybe she could take some time for a little bit of self-reflection. I mean, how many people really want to watch someone like Freelee, someone who criticizes without saying anything of substance, someone who says things just to be mean, like when she called the content of one of the most beloved YouTubers childish.
They're entertaining, but they're like mind-numbing kind of stuff for me, so I don't watch them.
Someone who accuses vegans like me of being shills because we call her out on her garbage diet advice. I'm willing to bet that most people just don't want to watch that, vegan or not. You know, Freelee did well for a time, but I think that time has passed. For one thing, too many people have come forward, people who did raw till 4 and gained weight and had other terrible experiences. Too many stories about that have been told. Too many people have seen what Freelee has to offer, her meanness in the guise of just trying to help. And I think they're bored and sick of it. You know, I'm not surprised at all that she's not getting the views that she used to get and that her channel really isn't growing. Now, to be fair, this isn't unique to Freelee. Most channels are not for most people, right? And most channels are probably going to die out, including mine. I think the trick is knowing that and accepting that. You know, I know my channel isn't for everyone. I know that I'm never going to rack up a whole lot of views or a whole lot of subscribers. I make the videos that I want to make, and on the rare occasion that the algorithm really likes one of them and it does well, like by my own standards based on how my other videos perform, cool. And whenever the time comes when I have to say goodbye, when it's just not, it's not performing the way it used to, and it's just, let's be honest, it's not worth it, well, then that'll be it. Hopefully it's not too soon, but who knows, man? Look at Ray William Johnson. Never forget.
So one day before even knowing anything about her, I watched one of her review videos, and I'm like, there is something wrong here. Okay, there's something wrong. You know, something just doesn't feel right about this fake staged approach that she has.
I've seen Freelee do this before, and other YouTubers too, like denigrating creators for like good production quality. How is this fake and staged? Because the area is obviously like staged for recording, because there's good lighting, because there's good audio, because obviously things are like planned out and there's some thought put into it. Why is this a bad thing? This reads like jealousy to me. So again, the crux of Freelee's video is that Abbey is a shill for the meat and dairy industry, that she is constantly getting paid to promote animal products. The main one Freelee talks about is this video where the sponsored product is some like natural deli meat. Freelee admonishes her for promoting a carcinogen to her followers. First, Abbey Sharp did do a response video to this. She doesn't talk about Freelee, but it's clearly a response video. She says in the comments that she doesn't want to start shit. She doesn't word it that way, but like tit for tat, I think is what she says. But it's like, dude, you do videos talking about people. It's kind of weird to me. Point is, in the comments, she does address this, and she says that she probably wouldn't do a sponsorship for this product today since she doesn't eat much processed meat anymore. She also talks about this product being better than other processed meat like hot dogs and bacon, which is very likely true, and that she tries to meet people halfway. I've worked with so many families where budget, time restraints have them buying McDonald's burgers every day for lunch. You need to meet these people halfway. People aren't going from McDonald's burgers to kale smoothies overnight. As I mentioned, the evidence on processed meat as a carcinogen is almost exclusively all on high-fat, high-salt, red processed meats. Like I said, would I promote that today? No, probably not, because my own relationship with food is very different, and I don't personally eat deli meat anymore. But I also know that that's a privilege on my part in that I have options. So bottom line, I believe making healthy choices is often about better, not best, and making not so good choices better. Adding in lots of fruits and veggies versus just taking foods away. And ultimately, while it fit my brand in the past, where I am now, not so much. I think that that's a perfectly reasonable response, other than referring to one's brand like totally straight, unironically. That's cringy as fuck. Processed meat is a carcinogen, but it is nowhere on the level of like cigarettes, which is what people think. The absolute risk is pretty small. And the other ingredients in these roll-ups are healthy things. Spinach, avocado, bell pepper, tomatoes. This is absolutely healthier than McDonald's or a bag of chips or whatever junk food that a lot of people would normally have for a snack. Second, as Abbey says in her response, not a response video, she's always upfront about her sponsorships. And I think this is true just going by the videos that I looked through for this and the blog posts that I looked through. Every single time she says upfront at the top of the post or in the beginning of the video that the video or post is sponsored. Now, some of them do come across like a little fakey, you know, a little bit forced. This one in particular, it opens with, "This week I was watching this commercial from the dairy farmers of Ontario." Okay. But as long as the channel is geared towards adults, not children, which Abbey's channel clearly is, then I have no problem with sponsorships as long as it is clearly stated that the video or the post, whatever, is sponsored. Now, does that mean I like Abbey, you know, making money off of animal products? No. And it's personally why I don't watch her channel. I've never subscribed to it. The only time I've watched her videos is for work, is for this video and for the last video I did when she made a video about me, one of my What I Ate Todays. I don't want to see random thumbnails with meat in them in my feed. You know, I'm not about that, you know, and I really don't feel comfortable supporting someone who is paid by companies that kill animals for a living. It's a personal call. You know, I don't think it's a big deal one way or the other. It's like the Kat Von D issue I talked about in that video. You know, I personally don't support her. I won't buy any more of her makeup or anything, but it's not like, who cares? If you want to, like, whatever. I don't really think it's much of a moral issue. Obviously, there are vegans who watch some of Abbey's videos, and that's fine. And I can see some utility in it, you know, wanting to support non-vegans who obviously aren't anti-vegan, who like actually speak favorably about veganism. Yeah, that makes sense to me. You do you, I guess.
So she has seen the horrors, but is still that big of a sellout that she will take money and encourage people to eat pain and suffering. Unknown carcinogen. That gives you a very good insight into who we are dealing with here.
Freelee does this throughout the video, implying or even kind of directly stating that Abbey Sharp is a bad person, that she's evil for promoting animal products and for taking money to do so. I've talked about this ad nauseum on this channel, so I won't harp on it too much, but basically, humans are complicated. You know, eating meat is not like killing a human or doing some other sort of heinous act that is illegal. Of course, Freelee equates the two in this video.
Just think, rape-free Mondays, pedo-free Thursdays.
It is not illegal to eat animals. Most people do so. Most people eat animals in some places, like in the US, several times a day. Doing what everyone else does and thinks is okay does not make Abbey a bad person. It makes her a normal, mostly good, but still flawed person. Just a little aside, but I don't think we give vegans, I don't think we give ourselves enough credit. I think in this attempt to promote veganism as so easy, just the easiest thing, guys, no problem, I think we have failed to acknowledge how special it is. It's getting easier all the time, but it's still difficult for a lot of us, having to restrict what you eat, having to cut out foods that people really, really like and really miss, being ridiculed by people for it. And you don't have to. Again, it's perfectly legal to eat animals, obviously, as many animals as you want, no problem. We are going out of our way to do the right thing just because it's the right thing. That's pretty fucking awesome. That's not to say that vegans aren't flawed as well, or that there aren't like horrible vegans, but I think it's fair to say that for most of us, it takes a special type of person, I think, to do something like this, to say, hey, that's wrong, and I don't care how much shit it gets me. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care how easy it would be to just ignore it and move on. It's wrong, so I'm not going to support it. Good job, is what I'm saying. Good job.
And in her description is more evidence of her SEO work when she calls them keto friendly. But then in another video post, she says keto can be dangerous.
So this is one of the things that I think Freelee is right about. Abbey does use keto to promote the deli roll video, while at the same time having this video from a couple years ago where she is critiquing keto and like not recommending it. I guess you could say that this is just like one keto meal. It's just like a snack. It's not promoting any sort of keto plan or anything. I mean, I eat like keto meals sometimes by accident, but nowhere in the video does she stress that. I mean, as Freelee says, it's just for the, you know, search engine optimization, right? I mean, that's the way it comes across. Like nowhere in the video does she say like, hey, having a keto meal here or there is fine, but it's not something I recommend. Yeah, it's really not cool.
This is the same woman who limits her baby's fruit intake, the healthiest food on the planet.
So Abbey says in that little image that Freelee shares that her baby has a preference for fruit, so she's trying to steer him to other foods by just offering one serving in a meal. I guess Freelee thinks that like half of a baby's plate should be fruit. Let's be real, the entire plate. I don't need to say this, I don't think, but please don't do that. Like, kids do not need that much fruit at all. This plate looks fine to me. I mean, I would rather there not be meat there, obviously, but like a peach or several slices of peach, what? That's perfectly fine. It doesn't take that much fruit to get kids the like vitamins that they need, particularly if they're eating vegetables, which they should be. And especially for vegan kids who are already getting a lot of those vitamins from the other vegetable matter that they're eating, beans, hopefully, and they can easily fill up on all of the fiber and the volume, you know, if you're giving them extra fibrous, you know, fruit on top of all of that stuff. If anything, fruit is kind of like the last thing that vegan kids need. Protein and healthy fats should be the priority.
So Abbey is so deceptive about her true intentions that for a long time, many of her viewers even thought she was vegan until she was forced to make this convenient orthorexia story filled with lame excuses about why she can't be vegan. Saying no to consuming someone else's body parts and their secretions is not being restrictive. It's just behaving like a rational, compassionate human being.
She says the same thing later on, even calling orthorexia fake.
Being concerned about how healthy you are and about the impact your eating has on those around you and also on the planet, and being particular about what you put in your body isn't a disorder. It's called being mindful.
She has done this for years, either denying the existence of eating disorders or saying that her diet, that Raw Till 4, can cure them. I've had an eating disorder, I just talked about this, but I am no expert. I don't know any more about it than anyone else who hasn't studied it, like Freelee. People who do study it, who do treat eating disorders like for a living, one thing that they say over and over and over again is the dangers of having a restrictive diet, of being on a restrictive diet if you have an eating disorder, if you have a propensity for developing an eating disorder. Typically part of the treatment is having access to any and all foods, no restricting foods, no viewing foods as bad or good. And yes, a vegan diet is restrictive. Obviously, cutting out foods is restricting. It's restricting your diet. It is totally irresponsible to make people who are suffering with an illness, a real illness, feel guilty for listening to actual experts, to actual doctors, and doing what they can to get healthy. And do I even have to say that there's no evidence whatsoever that Raw Till 4 can cure bulimia or anorexia or anything? And about orthorexia specifically, no, it is not a recognized eating disorder yet anyway. It might be in the future, but certainly even today, there are lots of people, lots of experts who do take it seriously and who do study it. To refer to it as just being particular about what you put in your body is not even what orthorexia is. And assuming that Abbey is lying about it, I mean, it makes sense. Again, Freelee has already decided that she's bad, that she's a shill, that she can't be trusted. Why wouldn't she lie about veganism and orthorexia for views?
In this video, Diet Changes for Colon Cancer Prevention, she literally promotes eating dairy products.
A study conducted by the Dairy Farmers of Canada found that most Canadians are not thinking about colon cancer top of mind. We think about lung cancer, we think about breast cancer, but this is the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths in Canada. And my concern as a dietitian is that 2 out of 3 Canadians are not getting enough of the recommended milk servings to be able to help reduce that risk.
What Freelee doesn't say, I wonder why, is that many other studies find the same correlation, this association between milk consumption and lower risk for colorectal cancer. It sucks. Dairy cows are treated horribly. I would love to say that not only is milk unethical, but it is totally bad for us. That would be awesome, but it's not true.
Abbey then smugly accuses Kip from What the Health of being biased when she is directly funded by the dairy industry on national TV herself.
So if you skipped out on journalism school, which I assume that you did, let me do a little recap for you. So one of the hallmarks of good journalism is that you're getting both sides of the coin, that you're interviewing people with different perspectives. And clearly you're taking advantage of that here in What the Health, because almost like a majority of the doctors that you've interviewed here are vegan and they support a plant-based diet in a variety of money-making ways.
Yeah, I think this is another area where Freelee's kind of right. This does look really bad. Abbey is right that the doctors in What the Health largely do make money promoting veganism. That should make us all skeptical regarding what they say, no matter what they're promoting, even if it's something sensible. That's why I personally, when looking for diet advice, I like to turn to people who aren't promoting any sort of particular diet, people like Stefan Guillenet and Aaron Carroll of Healthcare Triage. But it doesn't necessarily mean that Gregor or McDougall, all these people aren't sincere in their belief. And coming from Abbey, someone who literally makes money promoting animal products, I don't know. The criticism rings pretty hollow.
At 11 months old, these are the sorts of meals she recommends. You know what this is. I can't say it on YouTube, but doing this to your child is child.
I assume what she said there was child abuse. Animal abuse? Absolutely. Those animals lived and died horribly for that meat. Or at least died horribly if it was like humanely raised. Although let's be honest, most of these humane farms are horrible, so I'm sure they lived horribly too. But this meal clearly is not child abuse. Would it be better with a little less meat? Yeah, but it is in no way harmful for a baby. And if we're gonna talk about child abuse, what about the kid who literally just died because they were fed fruits and vegetables? What about the other vegan baby who died? What about the other vegan baby who died and the other vegan baby? No, we're not going to talk about that? Gee, I wonder why.
Anyway, in this video, she overlays a happy music as she pretends to show her viewers the process from farm to fridge. But Abbey, where is the slaughterhouse? Where is the place where these animals are processed? Do you think they just magically appear on your plate? I could just imagine her pretty outfit getting blood all over it. Doesn't exactly fit the happy, happy, joy, joy theme now, does it?
100%. Terrific point. I think this is the best point that she makes in the whole video. You want to show us the whole process? Really? Where is the slaughterhouse? Why not? Why not show us that? Because it's horrible? Because it would ruin the whole aesthetic of the video? Chopping up a cow carcass that doesn't have a face or anything on it is one thing, but actually showing us animals getting killed? Yeah, bit different.
She then cuts from the happy farm animals to the butchers and says this.
I'm here at the Healthy Butcher with head butcher Dave Melly, where he's going to save me some serious prep time in the kitchen by butchering up an entire gorgeous animal.
This is when I'm really starting to question your sanity.
It's pretty gross. I think it's worse than just like a piece of raw meat or something. It's pretty gross. To be fair, the video is several years old, and on that sponsorship video that Abbey made in response to this, in the comments, she says that it's cringy to her now. But the whole questioning her sanity thing, Freelee, you need to spend some time with people. A lot of people talk about meat this way. A beautiful cut of meat, really? You've never heard that? That's a pretty typical thing for people to say. It's totally normalized to talk about dead animals this way. This is not out of the ordinary. Abbey isn't going out of her way to be cruel here. Hopefully one day doing something like this will be out of the ordinary and will be cruel, but we're nowhere near that.
Obviously back then her calorie restriction was working to keep her slim, and I would say anemic as well.
Anemic, I guess, because she's pale. If you don't spend hours in the sun, then you're automatically anemic. And if you're going to accuse someone of being slim but not healthy based on their looks, you better be the pinnacle of health, is all I'm saying.
But fast forward to 6 years later, and it's obvious her calorie-restricted flesh and dairy diet is not working for her.
Is she calling Abbey fat? Is that what she's saying? That's the only thing I can gather from this, or that she in some way looks unhealthy. It kind of explains a lot, possibly. Maybe this explains why she is so reticent to like talk about eating disorders in a meaningful way, or to even acknowledge that veganism could be a problem for certain people, that veganism is a restrictive diet. Maybe it's because she kind of has one. I mean, clearly she has a disordered way of eating. Clearly she eats an unnecessarily restrictive diet. Clearly she is obsessed with her diet and obsessed with weight and being super slim. You know, not being able to see that this person is obviously slim. Fuck, I missed this the first time. I guess my brain just couldn't process it, that that's what she was saying. I still can't really process it. Like, oh my God, Freelee, seek some help, man.
She has clearly shown through her actions that she doesn't give a shit about your health. She doesn't care about animals or the planet, no matter what she says. She's not stupid. She is a wolf in sheep's clothing. She knows that the majority of what I eat in a day videos on YouTube are vegan, since I started doing them over 10 years ago now.
The video basically continues this way. Freelee saying, not even speculating, straight up saying that Abbey is a shill, that she doesn't care about others, that she's only talking about veganism for views. This is proven to Freelee by Abbey's What the Health review, where she like fairly criticizes What the Health for the flawed vegan documentary that it is. I did the same thing, so it's no surprise that Freelee has also called me an industry plant, a shill. The whole thing is very us versus them. You're either with us or you're against us. You're either vegan or you're garbage, essentially. Like, there's no in between. Like, there's no difference between Abbey Sharp, someone who acknowledges that you can be healthy on a vegan diet, and like the anti-vegan like carnivore types on YouTube who are just constantly talking about how horrible and dangerous veganism is. Like, really? There really are anti-vegans in the world. I think we need to like acknowledge that there's a difference and that most people aren't anti-vegan, right? I mean, I actually kind of like the whole carnivore anti-vegan thing on YouTube right now, because I think most people look at that and go, what? Like, you only eat meat and you're calling vegans unhealthy? Like, what? And you're so vitriolic and crazy, and like some of them, or one of them's even like racist because of course, and like a flat earther because of course. I kind of like it, honestly. I think it might be a net positive. Who knows for sure, but just the idea of normal people maybe having some sympathy for us even. Like, damn, this is what you have to deal with? These crazy people, dudes, let's be real, mostly dudes. Like, damn, I'm sorry. Maybe the general public will be a little bit nicer towards us if they knew that like that shit was around, you know?
After researching and also checking her LinkedIn account, I have to question her actual experience as a dietitian. I mean, dietitians generally gain their experience working with sick people in hospitals. This is where they learn the most. Has she ever shown proof of working as a dietitian in a hospital or private practice?
According to Abbey, again in the comments on her video, that's not true, that she has. I mean, obviously this is super funny coming from someone with no dietetic qualifications whatsoever. So is Abbey Sharp a wolf in sheep's clothing? No, obviously I don't think so. I think she's a flawed human being like the rest of us. But she isn't anti-vegan by any means, and I definitely appreciate her speaking so positively about veganism and being, I mean, really like mostly nice. I think there was one old video about Freelee that was pretty like over the top, but since then, like, you look at her video about Ellen Fisher, like she's very, very nice, a lot nicer than I've been. So yeah, I really appreciate that, even if I personally don't watch her channel and would never go to her for diet advice given the sponsorships. I mean, it's like anyone else on YouTube, you know, even if you don't have sponsorships, like I don't have sponsorships, but like I'm still getting paid, you know, and some of us are getting paid like a lot. So I don't know, take what we say with a grain of salt and always turn to like expert consensus first, especially when it comes to diet advice. Unless this video gets demonetized, I'm gonna make money from it. YouTube loves response videos, you know, and like I only do ones that I feel good about, but still I'd be lying if I said that I weren't biased towards doing them if I weren't incentivized to do response videos. Abbey too, and Freelee. I mean, you think the only reason she does videos like these is out of the goodness of her heart? I find that really hard to believe, considering she actually stopped doing them for a time and got pretty shit views and then started doing them again. I can't imagine why. And that's fine. Again, I'm not criticizing Freelee because she responds to anyone. If you put something out publicly, you should expect that someone, at least someone, is going to respond publicly. That's just like the way it is. Sorry. You know? And I think they can be very, very useful because you can reach a wider audience when you include people's names in your videos. But it has to be actually useful, and it has to be good criticism, and you can't tell people to live on fruit. Like, just as like a bare bones thing, rule number 1, don't tell people to live on fruit, and that processed sugar is good, actually. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, support the channel, patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. There you go. That's money right there. Shirts. I have a shirt. Again, that is also money right there. I have sold... Oh, I didn't read the comments, so I don't know if there's consensus or not, but is it bad? Is it bad for me? Why am I asking now? Is it bad for me to say how many shirts I've sold? I really want to say. I don't know why. It's such a weird thing that I made, and I'm just so thrilled that so many of you have bought it. It's amazing, and so many of you have sent photos, and every time I'm just like, it's just so much fun. I'm really like making an effort, like especially to check Instagram because I'm not on it that much. But when I first saw someone, I didn't even know how it worked at first. Someone sent a story, and I was like, oh, okay, there's like, how do I respond? Is it a message? How does this work? I figured it out. It's not hard. So yeah, I'm like making an effort to check, Instagram every day, and I check Twitter too. So if you send me something, there's a real good chance I will see it. Yeah, but it's like 150, a little over that, I think. You guys, like, that's so kick-ass, man. Thank you. Is it niche or niche? Niche sounds so, like, hoity-toity. Who the hell says hoity-toity? I don't know. I say niche, like snitch. My kid, they will tell, like toddlers, little kids, they'll tell on anyone. They'll tell on themselves. My kid will literally tell on themselves for doing something. It's so funny. And so I told them one time, like, snitches get stitches, man. And they ended up saying it, and it was the worst / most adorable thing I've ever heard come out of a kid's mouth. And so I felt guilty, but also like, that was gold. I wish I had that on camera.